On to Mac news. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. Before we get started on today's video, please make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell so you don't miss our next uploads. And without further ado, here we go. We talked about this in the past. I mentioned to not buy anything from Apple as far as the Macs as well as the iPads up until the end of this month or at least the holidays. And this is because in the past, there's always been a new release of some sort from Apple. As it stands at the time of recording, we have the current devices in the lineup for Apple. We have the iPhone 14, 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, the Watch Ultra, the Watch 8, as well as the Watch SE. Those are the current ones that are new. Those are the ones that got announced and are already in the market today. Now, as for I was gonna say iPods don't exist anymore, so that's gone. But AirPods as well. We're looking at AirPods Pro 2 as the current iterations, as well as the existing AirPods Max and the AirPods 3rd Gen, which was announced a while back. With regards to everything else though, I mentioned the iPhones and I mentioned the AirPods and the watches. Those are the ones that were announced very recently, actually this year. They were announced this year and they're already in the market. However, the one things I didn't talk about yet are the iPads as well as the Macs, because as we've experienced in the past, almost every year like clockwork, October would have a refresh of some sort for computing devices. So Macs and the iPads, because right now I think they're putting the iPad more into the computing side of things rather than this consumer, because of the professional workflows that are using the iPads. So as it stands, the Mac lineup would consist of the existing M1 Air, the existing M2 Air, which was announced very recently. On the MacBook Pro side of things, we have the M2 Pro, the M1 Max, and M1 Pro versions of the 16 and the 14-inch MacBook Pros. Those are what we're dealing with at the moment. Those are the ones in the market, and those are the ones that are potentially being replaced come this October event. Now, as for the iPads though, we still have the existing lineup of the iPads, which is the standard iPad, which is the 9th generation iPad. There's the iPad mini, the Air, and the Pro. Now, the Air and the Mini just got refreshed last year, so we're likely not going to get new stuff there. However, according to pretty well-known leaker Do-Hyun Kim, we're expected to see a 10-inch iPad refresh this month, an 11-inch iPad Pro with an M2, a 12.9-inch iPad Pro with M2, a new MacBook Pro line with the M2 chip. If we're going to go and copy-paste M1, it's going to be an M1 Pro or an M1 Max equivalent. So M2 Pro, M2 Max equivalent processors on these machines. So that's going to be potentially coming. As the final thing is another Mac Mini. A Mac Mini that's going to be running the M2 chip instead of the M1. No mention of the iMac just yet. So right now the iMac would be running the M1 still with the 8 or 16 gigs of RAM that is existent. All right, well, looking at the iPad now, the current generation iPad is still running Lightning port, as well as, I believe, the body style of the 3rd gen iPad Air. But what we're expecting now is we're going to have Type-C running across the board of all the releases going forward, because of the EU ruling, where all devices coming into the EU would need to have Type-C, because that's just easier and faster. What the rumors are saying is the iPad 10th gen, the 10.2 inch, would now come with Type-C as a port, as well as kind of the body style of the current generation iPad Air. More of a solid edged block with pretty much like a miniaturized iPad Pro, which would likely, if hopefully they pass on the same technology, which would hopefully mean that the 10th gen iPad would likely have compatibility for the Magic Keyboards, which is great. It's good for school, good for students, cheaper way of getting a computing device, especially if you're only typing notes and doing homework and all that fun stuff. So that's assuming they transfer over that technology. Now onto the iPad Pro. We're expecting the M2 chip upgrade on it. But beyond that, they don't really know much else in terms of if there's going to be a change in the body style or connectivity, because it's already running Type-C, which is pretty fast, and this is actually why I use an iPad mini in my workflow with photography, because when I take my photos, I just plug it into the iPad and just transfer the footage or the images over to Lightroom and start editing right there. On to the MacBook Pros. The current iteration of the 16-inch and the 14-inch MacBook Pro right now has been a massive success for Apple since they brought back the HDMI port, the SD card slot, removing the touch bar and putting actual F keys in it, adding Touch ID onto it. It's definitely a massive success for them, and we're expecting the incoming one would have to have the same amount of niceness, but with the M2 treatment, with a much more improved architecture for CPU and GPU performance. So we're expecting a major bump in performance in that. Hopefully they keep it as is and don't pull another touch bar out of their butt for some reason. You know, who knows, but that's what we're expecting right now. And finally, the Mac Mini, we are expecting an M2 treatment for it as well. However, according to Ming-Chi Kuo, which is a very well-known Apple news leaker, we're not expecting a design change. It's just a refresh from the inside, which I guess is not too bad. It's not like the M1 or the M chips require a lot more cooling than the original one. So we'll see how it goes. And that's about it. So in conclusion, if you are looking for any new Apple gear as far as computing is concerned, MacBooks, iPads, don't buy anything until the end of the month, or at least till the holidays, because you never know what's gonna happen. However, if you're in need of a computing device right now, it's actually not a bad idea to get the M1s, because the M1s are still a very powerful machine. I'm still using an M1 every day, and as it stands, it's still a very powerful machine. So there's no real reason to jump to the M2 if you don't really need that performance. At the same time, you can get the M1s for a good deal these days. If you browse through the Best Buys and the Amazons, you're probably going to see some very good deals on M1 based machines, because at this point, I'm in Canada. I just checked on it. Best Buy is actually selling the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch at about $300 off or $400 off, which is pretty insane. So if you need a machine now, by all means go ahead. However, if you want to be on the bleeding edge, you may want to hold off a little bit, you know, kind of bite your nails a little bit, and then just get the new ones coming out. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell, and leave a comment below if you want to see anything else on this channel. That being said, thank you so much for coming by. See you guys soon. Bye bye.